All right, guys, so one of the most important parts of building your AI agency, especially when you want to hit $50,000, $60,000, even $100,000 a month, is building a good team, okay? And there's a right way to do this and there's a wrong way to do this. And I've seen a lot of people, including myself, when I was in my beginning stages, I did it the wrong way and I wasted a lot of money and time in the process. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to build a proper team when you're scaling your AI agency, whether you're at $0 a month now and you're trying to figure out how you can outsource so you don't spend your days and all your hours just slaving away to clients, and then also so you aren't stuck on sales calls all day. I'm gonna be covering it from A to Z. So I'm gonna open up the Lucid board and let's jump into it. All right, so when we look at building a team from pretty much scratch, okay, say you're starting from zero and you're wanting to build a team within your agency and you want to do it the right way, there's a few things we need to look at. So number one, there's kind of different sections within your agency, right? So there's like client success, right? So that's like helping your clients, making sure they're all good, otherwise known as just CS. And then there's also sales, right? So like your own sales portion of your business for your agency, okay? So this is making sure you get clients, number one, and then you have a team to help you actually fulfill for the client. So there's two kind of different key points. And then I'll put an overarching overall goal, which is like exec, which is more like when you're really scaling to like 50, 60, 70, 80K a month, where you start hiring CMOs, even CGOs, COOs, right? Like these are all positions you can hire when you're at the bigger, I guess, lengths inside your agency. But I'm going to ignore that for now just because that's at the later stages, and I'll talk about that at the end of this video because most of you guys are probably stuck within these two. So you want to outsource your sales and your client success. And here's the right way to do this from my experience, from what I've seen. When it comes to sales and client success, I'm going to move this out of the way. We have a couple different things we can look at. So with client success, people always think, okay, the first thing I want to do is outsource myself from the sales portion, right? I don't want to be stuck on sales calls all day because I'm tired of being a slave for my calendar, right? And always taking these sales calls to close new clients. Let me just go hire a closer so they can handle it. That is a mistake, okay? For 99% of you. If you don't have experience hiring people before, you're going to know what I mean if you try this, okay? And this is one of the issues I made early days on with my agency is I hired a closer and I had no clue what I was doing. So you always want to start ideally with the client success part first. Okay, so this means you're building a team after you already have existing clients. And ideally you're building a team when you're at that 5K plus a month mark, even more, 10K is better. You want to delay the time you immediately building a team because it's going to cut into your margins and overall it's going to not hurt your learning process, but the more you hire people, the less hands-on, time you have with clients and with the systems and the process. So with client success, the first person, or I guess there's a few people we're going to hire. I'll show you guys right here. Let me move this out. We have number one, I'll just put it like this. Number one, we have a media buyer. Okay. So for those of you guys that know what that is essentially someone that is going to run the ad campaigns for your clients. And they can usually do this on like a pay per client basis, right? So you don't need to hire them full time. They could just be part-time or just a contractor technically. And maybe it's like $500 per client, right? Per month. So media buyer, this is just someone to run ads. Okay. Done. So that's going to handle that portion. Okay. The next person you're probably going to want to hire, especially as an AI agency, is a dev, okay, or developer. Okay. Now, the reason you want to hire a developer is because you guys probably don't want to be stuck in AI caller bots all day, right? Like it's not where you guys want to be because that's more on like the back end kind of nerdy system side of things, right? And that's like prompt engineering, doing all that stuff, building out AI callers. So I'll put AI callers here. So those are the main two services we fulfill on as an AI agency, which is we run ads and then we set up the AI callers. So you can hire a media buyer generally for, I don't know, like $500 to $1,000. Ideally $500, a month because it is an ongoing fee, or even lower, but you don't want to go too low, right? I've seen the sweet spot anywhere between like $250 to $500 in that range for a good media buyer per month. And what you can do when you get bigger and you have more clients is you can just hire someone full time, and they can be overseas if you have the right SOPs and the right systems and the right knowledge. Okay. So that kind of leads me to my next point, which is and I'll kind of get the pricing on a developer real quick. Usually this can be about like 10 to 15% of what the actual deal, or I'll say 10 to 20% of what the deal cost was. So if you close a $5,000 deal, you pay $500 upfront for this person first month, and then you pay another, we'll say in the middle, $750 to an AI caller person. Now that leaves you with, $3+ grand or whatever that number is, right? So when we look at this right here, there's a big mistake people make when it comes to outsourcing and building a team off the bat. And that is hiring too early, okay? There's only 2 reasons you guys want to outsource yourself and when you guys should outsource yourself. Number 1 is when you have a lot of money, okay? And let's say you're just getting your first couple clients and you already work a very successful 9-to-5 job, or you already have a lot of money sitting in the bank and you just don't have a lot of time for whatever reason that is, then okay, it makes sense to start just outsourcing things and then learning as you go. My expectation for people that go that route is you're going to make some mistakes, okay? Because you're hiring people for a job that you probably haven't done before. And anyone that knows building a business, building a team, hiring, client success, all that, it really does require you to actually understand some of the systems first before delegating it. So that's the only problem with that. And number 2, when you want to outsource someone, is when you have so many clients that you simply just can't handle it, okay? And you don't have the bandwidth to continue to be that solopreneur that fulfills for all your clients, okay? And remember, we're hiring client success people before we hire salespeople, all right? And I'm going to get into that in a minute why. So again, we want to delay this process as much as possible. Some of the most successful AI agency owners I know have delayed hiring people until they're at 30 to 50K a month, okay? And they get there, we'll just say 15 to 30K a month. So it's not like too outrageous for some of you guys that might be watching and just like, hey, I have to wait that long to hire people. The most successful people I've seen have waited till they're at that 10K plus a month mark. And then they've already built out the SOPs and they've already worked with clients before and they have the right systems. And when I say SOPs, I mean standard operating procedures. This is like Google Docs that explain A to Z how to set up the ad campaign for each client, right? And how that works. You have a standard operating procedure that now you can give to someone that you hire and they can just follow it rather than them having to guess and learn and test things on their own. That's one of the biggest things I've seen successful AI agency owners do is they document the correct things they do and then they put it in a document that they then give to team members that, obviously they delegate the work for. So that's what we're looking at with pricing here. I know this video is a lot more kind of like in-depth, higher level, but again, this is the stuff that people don't quite frankly talk about because it's just boring, right? Building a team is boring, but it's also the thing that's going to get you to the next level. So media buyer, we have that person. Developer, we have that person. The next person we would hire, and this is again down the road, would be a client success manager. Okay. So this person is going to be someone ideally in America, Canada, depending on where you work with clients, somewhere, someone who has an American accent or, you're going to have to pay more for, right? Or maybe they're in the UK if they can manage time zones. And this person you can pay as little as $3,000 probably a month to, I'll say $6,000 a month. Okay. And $6,000 a month is a stretch. So that's a lot. So this person is going to be the one that handles all the onboarding calls, all the check-in calls with clients, the bi-weekly check-in calls you probably do with them, and just overall the communication between the media buyer to the developer and then to the client. Okay, making sure it's one seamless workflow. So when you have these 3 positions right here, okay, your client success is it's pretty much done. It's automated as long as they're all doing their, role correctly. Because if the developer's building out all the AI callers, connecting them to GoHighLevel, the media buyer is running the ads, making sure that's all good. And the client success manager is kind of like the person just connecting all the wires, almost like the electrician, just making sure everything's on track and everything's good. It's like a seamless working machine. Okay, now this is what allows you to automate yourself and step away from things. Again, if you're paying $3,000 to $6,000 a month for a client success manager, you can't be doing this at $0 a month. And I don't recommend people even hire a CSM, that's in short for this, until they're at like 15 to 30K a month, okay? Because your margins will shrink and that's just inevitable. And the more time you have hands-on with clients and you are the one that's the CSM, you will get better at building the correct processes and procedures for this person that steps in when you get there. And then you can set them up with the correct foundation and the learning experiences that you took from it, okay? Rather than delegating it immediately and then them getting mad and then leaving, okay? That's a huge thing. So Now that we've got that here, we understand client success, media buyer is usually the first person we'll hire, then to the developer, and then to the client success manager. And then anything beyond that, it's maybe just hiring another media buyer. Usually you only need one dev, even when you're at 100, 200, 300K a month. One dev can usually knock it all out. You'll just put them on a full-time salary at that point. You don't have these people generally on commission, because that's just eating way too much into your margins, and it's cheaper to just pay them a full-time salary. Same thing with a media buyer. $500 a month for 10 clients, that's $5,000 a month. Okay. That's a lot. So this is even on the more expensive end. Okay. So yeah. And then that's the pricing for a CSM. Anything beyond that usually falls into the executive team, where it's more so very high level kind of people within your agency, which I'll get into at the end of this video. But wrapping up the client success part, these are the first people we will generally hire for the agency. We don't hire beyond this, or I guess before this. We don't hire execs or salespeople generally before this, unless it's a very rare scenario. And the last thing I want to touch on here before I go to the sales part is, please understand when I say this to you, you are better off learning things yourself and not hiring that media buyer or that developer or that client success manager until you've dealt with 5 to 20 clients yourself, and you've fulfilled for them, and you've actually done what your job is supposed to be all by yourself. Even if it's a lot of work, even if it's hard, you're going to build that learning experience in your head that now when anyone else comes in, like that media buyer, that developer, that CSM, you're ready to give them the right things. Like I've said a few times, right? I really want to nail that home, because that was a huge mistake I made. So next part is when it comes to sales, okay? Let's say we've hired our media buyer and our developer, all right? Usually about then is when we'll hire the salesperson, okay? Client success manager, again, comes at that 15 to 30K a month mark. Hiring these people could be at that 5 to 10K mark, ideally 10K, right? Salespeople, usually probably at that 10 to 30K mark again, okay? You don't need to hire salespeople until you're already closing multiple clients a month for pretty high ticket, prices. So first person we're going to hire is generally going to be a closer, okay? This is someone that takes sales calls for you, okay? Sales calls. Closers are paid 10% of deals, all right? And then if they self-set, meaning someone, let's say a lead opts in on your ads or whatever you're doing, the closer takes the initiative to go call up this lead that didn't book on the calendar and then book them onto the calendar, and then they close them, they get 15%. Okay, so they kind of take the role as a setter, right? A phone setter. So I'll say with self-set. Okay, that means with self-set appointment, and then this is just close only. Okay, got it. So we understand that closer 10% if it's just showing up to the call, closing the deal, great. 15% if they also self-set. And then you can also set it up this way, where instead of having them self-set, you can hire what's called I'll just say phone setter. Okay. And then this is just someone who books leads into appointment, and then they will get 5% of deal. Okay. Sometimes you have to negotiate this up to 7.5% or 5% plus a base per month, something like $500 a month, $700 a month, whatever. But ideally, you never want to give salespeople any sort of salary. Okay. It incentivizes them to be lazy and not work hard. I've had salespeople in the past where I pay them salary and they do absolutely terrible work because they slacked off. They got lazy because they knew that check was coming in, that the payroll was coming in at the end of the month, so they didn't care if they closed the deal or not, right? They're still getting paid. So you never want to do that. Okay, deal. Cool. 5% of deal closed. Perfect. So that's the real big sales positions we hire, and then again down the road we'll hire what's called a sales manager. Sales manager. Okay. So these are kind of the big roles that we're looking at. Sales managers, again, usually actually take about 10%. So this sales manager, you do not need this role unless you're at 50 to 100K a month plus. Okay. It's just not needed. So first person we're going to hire when we've gotten, and I'm going to kind of lucid chart this all out. I'm going to connect this all so you guys see it. But first person we'll generally hire is a closer, then phone setter, then sales manager. All right. And then at each stage, closer, generally you don't need to hire this person until you're at 10 to 30K a month, depending on your time, whatever. You can actually self-close yourself until 30K a month easily. if you have the time in the day and you're not working a job. So ideally, once you hit that 15, 20K a month mark and you're grinding out, maybe you're working a 9 to 5 and that, and you're just totally slammed, you can quit your job, go all in on this, and then you can slowly start to outsource things. And then phone setter, again, same point, 10 to 50K or 10 to 30K a month mark. Sales manager, 50 to 100K a month mark. You don't need to hire that person until then. And that's that. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. And I'm going to kind of connect the dots here. So boom, like this, boom, like that. Okay. And then that's it. So that's how it's all connected. So you guys can see it here. When it comes to client success, we start here. Okay. We start with client success. We do not start outsourcing ourselves on the sales end. We start here, hire a media buyer, then a developer. Then if we want, we can go straight to hiring a closer if we feel like we're just slammed on calls. Or if we have time in the day, we can continue to take calls and then jump right to the client success manager person that you hire. And then boom, once you hire the closer, you're really outsourced. Like, you guys got to think of it is when you have all these roles in here, you have the media buyer, you have all these people right here, you have a self-sufficient business that you just have to be kind of the manager over, right? Like, you're not in the trenches, as some people call it. So that's that. And when it comes to executive, I really think as an agency, your number one job is to be a cash flow vehicle. We're not here, like, you can build agencies to exit and to sell, and that's totally fine. And I, in my future, might want to sell an agency, right? But for me, the big vision of an agency is to be this cash flow vehicle that can pay you whatever profits that is, and you want to stay high margin, right? So executives really isn't needed unless you're trying to scale to like the multiple 6 figures a month mark. And I just don't want to speak on this too much yet because I just honestly, I don't have too much experience hiring like solid executives at a high level, because the people that I know have done this are at like $500,000 a month plus, which is insane. So yeah, that's that. But that is really overall how you guys should be building your team. This is what you should be paying them. The only thing I'd say here that is a little bit much is the media buyer. The $500 to $1,000 per month per client is a bit much. It is a bit much. And that's ideally why you pay them part-time. And if you have the correct SOPs in place of the standard operating procedures of the doc, of literally just everything they need to know when it comes to setting up a client campaign, I know a lot of people making $200-300 grand a month that have someone in the Philippines running all their clients' ads, because you don't really need someone skilled if they can just follow a doc and do the busy work in their head. So guys, overall, that is really it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this was a much higher level look into what it looks like to build an agency properly, and the mistakes that I made when I immediately tried to hire a closer before anyone else here, and it went absolutely to dog crap. That's what happens. So please don't make my mistakes, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to learn more about, learning more from me, you guys will find an AI agency mastermind link below, where again, I do host a private AI agency mastermind. You get calls with me almost every day of the week where you can bring your questions to me. Super good group, bunch of guys winning in there. I just posted up an Instagram story yesterday of a flood of just guys absolutely crushing it with this model in here. And you essentially get my phone number and a bunch of other things as well. So it'll be the top link in the description below, as well as my Instagram. So go check that out. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.